My name is Matt D. This is the Turnbuckle Bandwagon. My guest today, out of the DMV, he is one half of the Kings of the District. He is a pure professional wrestler, Eel O'Neal. Eel, what's happening?
Oh, nothing much. I'm just having a good afternoon here at Chateau de African American Horror Story. So, it was a wonderful opportunity for a conversation. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. Before we, I want to kind of talk about for folks who maybe aren't super familiar with you, a little bit about your background and training and kind of where you got your start.
Sure, absolutely. I am originally trained at John Rambo's House of Pain, and that comes with all of um, the ups and downs that the history of that place has. But also, I had a good crop of trainers when I began. So, the Wild Man, Robbie Page, the Grimy Scots, Grizzly Duncan McBain, and Hamish Stewart, Tremor, if you know him. I also started my training around the same time as MCW in Maryland, tag
Oh,
team um, Tommy Seto. We're
okay.
actually we're good friends. We've been around the block a couple of times. It's nice to see him get the level of success that he's getting around the same time that our two paths diverged. The basics of my training were kind of the hard nosed basics, but I learned everything very old school. Very you pay your money, you come, you learn what you learn, and then you're cast out into the big bad world. And after a couple of years of doing that sort of thing and working the independent circuit in a way that was less than fulfilling, especially with not just the places that were booked, but the level of matches that I was having. I decided to start training in other places. Up in Philadelphia, I've had the wonderful opportunity to roll around with Jonathan Gresham from time to time. That's been a blessing. Um, as well as just really learning on the job. I think I have a lot of journeyman experience, more so than um, some trainer to my name that I can say, oh, I was trained at this place and they can vouch for me. It seems like my opportunities have come from working and then having other people vouch for me the next time that I show up, which has been, a blessing and a curse because I'm definitely going to end up being more of a journeyman wrestler as opposed to just your typical, oh, hey, he wrestled for 2 years and he had a great trainer, so now he's on, AEW Dark or something like that. It doesn't seem like that's going to be my path. It seems like I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, anything can happen. At what point did it? I know this kind of seems like a bit of a, maybe a cliche question, but at what point did it start to click for you? Like, is it like a year in? Is it 2 years in? Is it clicks here, it clicks there?
I'm a firm personal believer that the when you feel like everything is done for you as far as wrestling goes, that's probably when you should give it up. I think that this as well as any art form or any sport is a learning experience. When you're at your best, you probably shouldn't feel like you're at your best, and when your peak is done, you probably are aware of that as well. I have yet to reach the pinnacle of my talent. I have yet to reach the pinnacle of my ability in this world. I am, as many people can vouch for. I'm an incredible promo. You give me a microphone on a show, and I'll tear the house down. That's not something I've ever been worried about. Figuring out exactly what it is that works for me inside of a ring has always been the hardest part because I'm not sort of a one-dimensional wrestling figure as far as my ability. I was a two-sport athlete in high school. I was a walk-on in college for a short period of time before I dropped out. I have a high level of athletic ability as well as a high level of performance background because I've been acting and doing theater since I could walk and talk. I'm a very unique person in the world of professional wrestling. So my experience with learning how to become the professional wrestler that I am has been increasingly unique.
Awesome. Would you, if you don't mind me asking, would you walk on? What, football, basketball, baseball,
Football.
football? Okay.
Yeah, strong safety. I wasn't. I didn't start anywhere of note, but I did. I did have a good opportunity to play a couple of downs in D2 football. So that
Okay.
was.
Yeah, walking on at that level, be it D2 and any sort of competitive sport is a challenge to walk on and be successful.
When,
So,
when I
oh,
think when I think of my past, if I could go back into the past, the only thing that I think I maybe would have done a little bit better, I would have nudged myself more towards Greco-Roman wrestling as opposed to football. I did both, but I think I succeeded because I have a lot of speed in football, and I always wanted to play. That was a sport that I was very passionate about. Passionate about, but Greco-Roman wrestling, collegiate wrestling is a really hard-nosed sport, not just because of obviously the wrestling, but also because of the type of schedule and the weight cutting and everything that goes along with it. It's a little bit harder, and for a child, I think that level of dedication is something they're not ready for. But I think it teaches a lot of good things.
yeah, like you have like all day meets, you got to make weight, and then you do it 2 weeks later or a week later. Sometimes it's a grind.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Um,
real grind. It's exhausting, and God bless anybody who's done it all of their lives. I was introduced to Greco-Roman wrestling when I started high school, and by the time that I was done, I was like, okay. And then um, going on to the secondary level would just be, you know, unreal.
and you mentioned you're not kind of a one. You mentioned you're kind of a multi-dimensional professional wrestler, and I've seen it. Like it's kind of tough to describe your style. There really isn't. Kind of how would you kind of frame your style, the way you wrestle? I mean, I call it a stylized heel is not an adequate enough word though.
I'm a I'm a very aggressive. I'm a very aggressive grappler, especially when I get to my ground game. That's where I tend to feel the most comfortable, bringing pain on people on the ground, in a different way than Jordan does. I think Jordan has a high level of technical prowess that I don't have, but I make up for that with a level of aggression that I have on the ground. And then when I'm standing, I'm a high level athlete. Up and downs are probably my most successful movement, as well as like side to side lateral movement. So I'd say my offense would be could be dizzying at points, but not in the way that like lucha is dizzying. It is hard to explain. I'd say aggressive, aggressive athletic grappling.
I mean, I've seen the vertical, so
Yeah,
it's
I have a pretty solid up. So
yeah, no, you got good hops. Before we get into talking about Kings of the District, I want to talk about kind of the other group you worked with and head of the class
yeah,
with Logan Easton LaRue and Killian McMurphy. And if you want to talk aggressive, that's that's aggressive.
and Logan and Killian are two opposites of the spectrum. Actually, all of those gentlemen in that group, me, Killian, Alan Clayball, Sage Phillips, and and Logan, we're all, I think, brought together by the fact that we all feel like we're not at the space where we should be when it comes to professional wrestling. Logan, I think, has made from having a very storied career, even just in the DMV area.
Yeah.
He has a level of talent and skill um, that is not represented in his place on cards and people asking him to travel. I think that Logan should be everywhere. I, in fact, think that Logan should be the independent wrestling champion. I think that once we're back to normal, the first person who should get an opportunity is him for the IWTV. Killian is on the absolute other side. He's a heavy hitter. He's very focused in the basics. What you'll see from him isn't flashy at all. And that's actually a really good thing because it's made him a very solid wrestler in the type of match that he can come to. If he can slow you down and bring you to his level, or if you try to reach out to him and fight him with his level of physicality, you're not going to beat him there. It's just It's just the facts. Uh, Clayball, simply Alan Clayball, like I said, once again, another person who focuses on the basics and is so good and doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, since he really dropped all of the gimmicks. As far as being, he used to be AC Wolf, and
Yeah.
he's Howling at the Moon, and he started focusing on just being a grounded professional wrestler. And I think that because he's not an old gimmicks guy, people people don't people don't focus on him as much. Sage, he's been traveling all over the world, obviously, all over America, and even during the pandemic has been working as hard as he can. And if we're talking about pure wrestlers, me, I barely make the cut in that I am a grappler. I have a temper when it comes to professional wrestling. I have an animalistic streak. Sage is he's a human computer. When it comes to professional wrestling, he will dismantle a person in every possible way that he can, as far as a body part, a weakness, a misgiving that they have about professional wrestling, and just he does it systematically. I don't know if we're going to be the head of the class when we come back, but if we do choose to be, um, I mean, we'd be absolutely. I think that with everything that we've learned during pandemic, I think that we'd be an absolute invincible unit. You know what I mean?
I would agree. I spoke with Logan Easton over the summer, and he's a very talented individual. He's in that special category, and I believe he is due a shot at the Independent Wrestling Television Champion. He is a shot. He is getting a title match. It's just a matter of when. I agree with you. I feel like you put that belt on Logan Easton LaRue, that title instantly becomes, and I'm not trying to decry Warhorse and his long reign, but we've also had Kobe.
Think of the legacy of the belt, Warhorse, Orange Cassidy, just the sheer amount of people who have had it. I think John Silver at some point in time, the sheer success of the individuals who have had that championship belt. Um, Logan LaRue, people might not necessarily like him. In fact, he feeds off of.
He does.
He does. It makes it more powerful. It's true, because, I mean, when you're waiting and performing and trying to garner cheers as opposed to just wrestling, you find yourself losing more than you win. You'll find the best guys in the a person who I think is an incredible wrestler, and I would love to wrestle, but I think doesn't have the aggressive streak that he needs, is Lee Moriarty. Here's why. Lee Moriarty, as much as he likes to joke about, oh, I'm not the best wrestler in North America, or I'm a scary wrestler, or I don't really care about the crowds, if you watch his entrance, he is tailor made for an audience to love him. His win loss record is abysmal. It's absolutely horrific. Um, I know that people don't count wins and losses the way that they should, and it's this sport and art form is more about who's liked as opposed to who wins and loses, but they do matter. And just a little turn on the aggression dial and stop giving people the breaks that they need, and stop smiling as much. And I think that Lee Moriarty, I think he runs away with the independent scene. I think that he's the person who takes it off of Logan. I think Logan takes it off of Warhorse. I think Lee gets aggressive and takes it off of Logan.
And you think that Lee's going to have to tap into that, not participating in what's happening in the crowd, just crank that aggression up.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I understand it. He is a multi-talented guy. He is an all-around wrestler. He's like when you select Mario in
Smash Brothers and Smash, yeah,
right. He's an all-around wrestler. He loves to focus on the arms, body parts, but he also can do lucha. He has a level of strength that's surprising. But there are a ton of matches where you just caught him being happy that he is wrestling, and that's incredible. It also is a weakness. When I go into the ring now, this didn't used to be how it was. I used to be a very happy-go-lucky guy. When I go into the ring now, I want a match to go as short as it can. When I start getting worried about, oh, I'm just happy to be here, oh, I just love a good fight, when I start doing that, that's when I lose.
When I saw you when head of class came up to Beyond a year and a half ago, the minute you got tagged in, it was right across the ring, kicking people in the face, stomp them out. Let's, let's get this done.
Yeah. And my offense has gotten far more varied from there, just because I'm a bigger person now. Physically, I think I was somewhere around 165 pounds, 165 pounds then. I'm weighing in at 180 now.
Okay.
Far stronger than I've ever been. So my offense is a little bit more slam based, into submissions, as opposed to just sub work and chasing people around the ring and trying to use my speed to garner that. I'm still as fast as I ever was. Maybe a second lost off of my 40 time.
And you mentioned, Jonathan Gresham, kind of what's it like sitting under that learning tree? Gresham was the, first black Powerbomb TV independent wrestling champion, one of the longest reigns in the title's history. Anyone who's watched a Jonathan Gresham match even once knows how good he is. What's it like to kind of get that tutelage?
It's about becoming mathematic with not just your movements, but with your tactic when it comes to professional wrestling. One thing that I learned from John, is that uh, when you pick a body part to use, uh, it's obviously an advantage, and for some reason people think of it as a heel move versus a face move, to dismantle a body part. I don't know why, but it opens up other things. You need to know what that opens up, this thing into the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing. If you watch a John match, it's not just, oh, he's working the arm. There are 6 ways to work the arm. He'll find all 6. There are 6 ways to escape. He'll let the person get every single move and work 5 of them. And then when they finally think, oh, he's done everything that he knows how to do, and they latch it on again, he'll use number 6 to put the win down. It's about being methodical with every single thing that you're doing. You need to know how people react to your methodology in wrestling. You need to know how people get out of these holds so that you can apply it in a different way that makes it inescapable. It's about opening up things so that you can close a door. What is it that I think it's Billy Robinson said? You have 3 doors, you close 2, you lock 2 of them, and you hide behind the third, right? So that your opponent goes into that door and then they're trapped. His mind works just taking the basics of professional wrestling and finding 6 degrees above those basics to make it complex. It's not about doing things that are extra. It's not about being extraneous. It's about simplicity. And that's something that's helped me, the level of the understanding that the things that make him good are not being overly ornate. It's about being simplistic with your movements.
No wasted movement. It's
Yeah.
an efficiency of, closing distance and being efficient with all of your movement in the course of that, grabbing that arm and beating on that arm, but then you're going to go and move to the ribs. You're going to move here and you're going to move there. So I appreciate that type of wrestling.
Yeah, I do. Smart, smart wrestling that works on method. Um, I think people get scared because it requires audience attention.
Yeah.
But as we've seen with this time that we've had off, the one thing that we all have right now when it comes to watching wrestling is time.
Yeah.
So the reason why the Pure tournament was so successful and why the reemergence of the Pure division was so successful, and why people are kind of jumping on that boat, is because people have time now to watch these type of matches. They have time to focus on this, and also, frankly, watching people kill each other through tables and ladders and chairs every single day makes it not special. I love
Great.
I love hardcore matches as much as the next person, and I understand that part of the fan base is rabid and they love that stuff. But if every single event has light tubes and the little sticks or whatever, and
Yeah. That's a lot.
the tacks, it, it it doesn't have any meaning. Even famous, like legendary hardcore wrestlers in Japan, even they worked, you know, just your regular, you know, uh, uh, collar and elbow lockup, like hit a move, hit a pin, suplexes and holds type of match. And then the hardcore matches, the death matches were special. And I think it's about taking everything that is extraneous in professional wrestling and has become like synonymous with professional wrestling in like the layman's terms,
Yeah.
and bringing it back to being special again. The basics, and then notch it up six, and you know, no wasted movement. Make things matter.
Yeah. I mean, when they announced that the Pure was coming back, I mean, I've remember going to like old school Ring of Honor matches in the early 2000s when like Samoa Joe held that belt. And you know, the rules observed, and just, you know, the fact that you have like judges, and again, it's about time and sitting, and you can't just like, you know, throw the match on and do other stuff. You have to sit there and give it your attention, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It makes the matches less like an episode of Judge Judy and of the first season of Westworld, right? You want
Gotcha.
to pay attention to the small details because you know that there's something inside of those small details that will lead to the finale.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the talent coming out of the DMV. I'm in Connecticut. I'm a Northeast guy, so I tend to brag on the talent up here in New England.
Yeah, no,
But the talent coming out of your area, you know, is, you know,
I mean, you have obviously my tag team partner and the love of my life, Jordan Blade.
kings of the district, folks. Learn the name, know the name. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about that.
truthfully, my sister. She's she's just absolutely incredible. Um, the the ability that she has to the ability that she has to overcome hardship is stronger than just anything that about wrestling. It's more just uh, I mean, like the ankle breaker thing isn't a gimmick. Uh, she doesn't go by that anymore, but uh, she did. I was actually at that match. Funny enough. So it's weird that you know these things they intertwine and they become connected. She it was against Faye Jackson, and she broke her ankle, and she tried to finish out the match, and it just wasn't anything doing. She knew it. She knew it, and she had to call it for the ref. And it took a year and maybe a year and a half, I think, to get back. And as soon as she was back, the DMV, who are just hungry for wrestling, and when we come back from this terrible time, they'll be there. Just open up their arms for her. Just the loudest pop that you ever heard. Trish Adora, who's absolutely incredible. Um, Everybody needs to be watching Trish. Trish will be signed in a year. Everybody knows it. The What happens is really what's going to happen with the Pan African Worldly Ask for a title. I'm going to have it. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm. I don't want to. I don't want to make this about myself. I do want to continue to talk about the DMV's talent. But I'm going to be the one who takes it from her. Nobody else. It's going to be me. That's not a prediction. That's not a guess. That's not a threat. It's not a promise. It's a spoiler. I'm going to take that belt from her, and I'm going to beat her 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Do I know if it'll be clean or not? I can't tell you yet, but I'm going to be the one who beats her.
Okay, just and not that I don't disagree with you, but I did see a tweet not recently, a couple weeks. Apparently, Darius Carter is saying he's got the next shot.
Mhm. I understand that. I totally understand that. But if there's an opponent, I've spent so much time with Trish Adora. I adore her. She is another one of my DMV family. I think she is an incredible talent. I think she is too good for this professional wrestling world. I also got to study with her in Grapplers Guild with underneath John, you know, and I I hate to say it, but the tactician in my mind, right, the tactician in me, couldn't just enjoy the moment. I used it to learn all of her weaknesses. Um, she's an absolutely surprising powerhouse, gifted with technical prowess. She's got aches and pains like the rest of us, and the Lariat Tubman isn't invincible. It isn't invincible, as noted by our match in the pod tournament. right? The one thing that I did was disarm her finish. The one thing that I did not do was focus on getting the win however possibly I could. I got cocky and I said I was going to make her give up or tap. Uh, I think it's possible. Have I seen Trish tap before? Yeah. Was that the night for her to do that? No. She was. I mean, she was going all the way. She had it. The fate was with her that day, but fate will be with me the next time we meet.
I mean, yeah, and I mean her matchup for the culture. I mean, it was a lot of folks thought that title was going elsewhere, and all of a sudden,
That's cool.
Lariat Tubman, boom,
Yeah,
and match is over.
yeah,
That's that's how that works.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a. That's why it's a flash. It is a flash move. It is meant to knock people on the rumps. And I mean, she's incredible. But that's why we study, right? That's why we do tape study. That's why we check out our opponents. Other people from the DMV of a great note. Not necessarily from the DMV, but definitely somebody who's going to be who does claim one of our thrones is Big Bad Kaiju. I mean, O'Shea. O'Shea is family. He's absolutely incredible. He's going to do great things at Ring of Honor. I'm surprised that people have not picked up on him sooner because they're missing.
Right?
It's just the fact that these companies have looks and guys that they're already they're already sold on, and it could have been. It's so easy.
It is. It's like when O'Shea, like right when he walks out, and most recently the Synergy, Synergy Wrestling, 1 2 2 1. This guy walks out, and you're just like, I should be paying attention. I'm paying attention to him.
That's it. There he is. There he is. That's the guy. That's him. It's so easy, and people make it so much harder. Wes Rogers, Safety First, Wes Rogers, incredible, great tactician, but a great funny wrestler. Guys from my neck of the woods who won't get an opportunity unless I shout them out, so I will. Chris Andino, Heat. Chris is one of the funniest wrestlers. Wrestles with Jeremy Grimes at Studio 22. They're very, very funny, but they're also very, very solid wrestlers. Chris is 6'2", all of 220 pounds. His finish is a Northwestern lariat that will legitimately knock a person out of their shoes. Saul Esparza, a young pure technician. Saul Esparza, he is 21 maybe.
Wow.
He is going to go to the moon. That's once again, that's not a promise. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. Saul will be everywhere. And then lastly, because I know you'll bring it up eventually, Erica Lee. Erica is a great professional wrestler. That's not my problem with her. My problem is that she's not a good professional wrestler. And Joey Ibanez, one of my partners in crime, formerly a rival, but Joey Ibanez he's come to be very respected by me, and not only a great friend, but also a great training partner, somebody who tests my metal, who tests my steel, because the only way that you can really make sure that your wrestling is the best. He's the Apollo Creed to my Rocky.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I mean, and as we mentioned these names, folks, not only talent out of the DMV, but there's a whole lot of black talent that 10 years ago there weren't. I mean, I would go to shows, I'd be maybe one of 2 or 3 brown people in the audience. And that's
The landscape is changing, and in a better way. It's not to take anything away from white fans or from white wrestlers, because there are a ton of incredible white wrestlers, but there are also a ton of great people of color wrestlers. Asian American, African American, Latinx, Polynesian American.
yeah.
There are a litany in the rainbow, LGBT talent. Not to ruin it for the show, because you all will obviously see it, but we just filmed the Cassandra Cup and Camp Leapfrog. We did it. It's a 2-day back-to-back. Everyone was COVID tested. Everyone is getting secondary COVID tests before we can do anything else. The sheer amount of talent that was in that locker room is just absolutely mind blowing, and it's a shame that the wrestling landscape, if not for certain people who were in charge, would look completely differently if the people who just had talent and just vibed with audiences were given the free reign to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, that's I'm very excited for the Cassandra Cup. I love tournaments, and then putting this sort of tournament together, and especially coming off of the collective. And I'll shout out a match that everyone should go watch, which is Still Life Africans and Pairs versus Dark Sheik,
Yes.
which
Oh,
is
oh they killed it. Uh,
that's
that actually, so we showed up late to Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I'm sorry, Effie. You're very sweet. You're a good friend. Um, but we walked in right when they were working, and I mean, Dark Sheik is absolutely phenomenal. She's great, but Still Life, she again another person with just an absolutely unbridled ceiling. She's just she's incredible. A technical wrestler and a person who you would this is completely true, who, if not for presentation, people should be defining Still Life as a pure wrestler, right?
okay.
Grounded, well focused, fine tuned game with complex locks, complex nudos, uh, with and Yaves with mixed with the basics. Uh, she's not doing anything that's not everything that pure wrestlers are doing. It's just that her presentation is so much better, which is why sometimes I shun calling myself a pure wrestler, because I'm very presentational, right?
Okay.
And for some reason, people think that that's not part of it. But I think that just accepting that the basics are the fundamentals to which you succeed in the ring, not presentation wise, but how you succeed in the ring.
Mhm.
I think that's the definition of being a pure wrestler. And Still Life, she's right there.
I tend to tell people, you don't watch Still Life, you experience Still Life.
Yes, and it's true, and it's true. I would. That's another opponent that I would be that I would be very blessed if I had to.
And we briefly touched on it, but I want to bring it up because anyone watches here, I'm a huge tag team wrestling fan, have been forever. Tag teams are just my preferred brand. Yeah, you and Jordan Blade, the Kings of the District.
Mhm.
I had mentioned this before last time we talked, that typically when people see a black tag team, they expect a certain presentation, a certain attitude, and your attitude is just completely. You two are a professional tag team. You walk in, there is an aura of, okay, no effing around, it's business time.
Yeah, yeah. We're not here to joke, and we're not here to play. And wrestling is fun, and having fun is part of this business, and it's part of this sport. It's part of the art form. But also, getting wins is crucial. And I know that people think that that's not a thing anymore. Wins and losses don't matter. Um, the problem with that is this is a sport, and you get further and you get good by winning. Uh, Jordan and I made ourselves a promise at the beginning of this year that we were going to take no losses. We lost. We took no losses except save one to Oreo Speedwagon, which we'll get back. I promise you.
Okay.
Save Oreo Speedwagon last year. Um, a year that was clouded by us winning our titles in a historic match, losing our titles based on absolute garbage. I'll save the cuss words for private talk, um, and then having opportunity ripped from under us, not being able to wrestle for together for 6 months. So the real the real story of 2021 is that so far we're undefeated. I won't tell you how and against who, but so far Jordan and I are an undefeated tag team. We're going to remain an undefeated tag team for the rest of this year. And I don't know whose championships we're going to hold, but we are champion tag team of Washington, D.C., of this district. And we take that very seriously. And that means that anybody who comes through DC goes through us. tag teams don't just get to come here and do a little bid where they get to have a cutesy tag team match and then dip out. They have to go through us. We set the bar. That's a responsibility that her and I both take very seriously. And with her combination of strength and my combination of speed and athleticism, as well as both of our ground games, I think that we're nigh impossible to beat, particularly when we're in the district.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I believe it. What is, what is, and you kind of half answered it. Like, is that the secret sauce that makes the Kings of the District work? That both of you are so proficient
Mhm.
that whatever holes you may have, she fills in, and whatever holes she may have, you fill in.
Yes, and we're like-minded, right? So like, um, as much as we do joke around with each other, and like I am definitely the more crazy one of the two of the pair. Um, uh, when it comes to making money for our families, Jordan has a wife and she has a child. Me, I have loved ones that I have to take care of every single day. Um, Wins and losses matter to us, and presentation matters to us, which means that when we're together, it matters even doubly. We love singles wrestling. That is a thing. I think that a lot of people have seen us together and uh, started, especially with me, started booking me more as a tag team wrestler than as a singles wrestler.
Mhm.
But when I tell you that every time that I tag with Jordan, it means more than anybody could ever
All right. So tag teams, listen up. If you're traveling through the DMV or DC, you check in with the Kings of the District. Them's the rules.
know. Our territory. That's not, it's not to be, it's not to be, it's not to be quote unquote territorial, but you there's a responsibility to that ownership, and there's a responsibility to being the champs. And until we get some kind of gold around our waists that represents that, it means that the bar just has to be the thing that represents it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, once we hopefully get through this COVID nightmare and get back to normal, DC aside, I'd love to see y'all come up here to New England. We got plenty of tag teams who would love to get in the ring with you. I know MSP, who I interviewed a couple weeks ago, would be more than happy to get in the ring with you.
Yeah, we've studied the Main Street Posse. We actually were supposed to wrestle them at some point and on our home turf. So now that, I mean, it would be so welcome to travel up to them and wrestle them.
Home, yeah, limitless, beyond all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let's address some. I don't know if this is a rivalry. Last time you were on, I tried to kind of mediate this issue, whatever this is, between you and Erica Lay.
Sure.
Um, is it a rivalry? Is she your nemesis? Kind of, can you give me the
Nemesis is
base?
hard. Nemesis is a hard word because I think that Joey would technically be my nemesis, but we become training partners. We become
Okay.
friends. And Erica Lee is a friend, right? The real crux of it is that I think that Erica wrestles like a person who is split in two. And here's why. I think that Erica has an understanding of this business and the sport, that you need to please people and be funny and be silly and have fun and make funny merchandise and make funny videos for them to like you and tweet silly things to make you well liked by them, which is all well and good. But she gets in the ring and she hides the true nature of her competitiveness. She is a wild person, and that's perfectly fine. That actually is that's one of her strengths. She is an animal when it comes to the ring. It's just that for some reason she's dedicated to not showing people until it's almost too late. I have another person who has a win-loss record that is way worse than it should be. Erica doesn't need to be liked. Erica needs to win matches. And Erica is dedicated to not winning matches because she would rather be liked. I get it. We all have to sell t-shirts. We all need to sell merch. We all need to get booked and be well liked. But you know what makes you really, really well booked? Having a great record and crushing people in matches, because everybody wants to see you get beat. Everybody wanted to see Brock get beat when he was on a run. Everybody wanted to see Overeem get beat when he was on his heavyweight run. Everybody wants to see a champ get beaten. Floyd Mayweather, gosh, he's made an entire career of being unbeaten. Everybody wants to see you lose when you're a champion. And if you are the happy-go-lucky guy who gets in a win 1 out of every 5 times, that's Erica Lee's record, you stop being priority. Like I said, Jordan and I are the standard bearers for the DMV, which means that everybody in the DMV is our responsibility. If people know you come from this area, you're our kid. Hate to say it that way, but if you come from this area, you represent us. We put it in our name. We're the kings of the district. And if people know that you come from the DMV and you're not chipping in your share, you might just have to get cut from the table.
Wow. Is it, and it sounds like, and from what I've seen of her in the ring, and I agree with you, there is I think there's a difference between, in some instances, being happy to be here and then living in that happy to be here space. And for someone who is as talented, but also, you're right, there is an animal in there. We've seen it, and there's little flashes, and it was like, get, where is it? I was like,
Yeah.
come out,
Yeah.
come out.
Get her angry. That's when she gets wild-eyed. And trust me, as a person who spends 60%, 70% of their time in the ring wild-eyed, I understand that there's a power to that. And for some reason, us being two sides of the same coin, she wants to hide that. And me, I want to revel in it. I'm a sophisticated guy. I think that am I think that I am well cultured and well educated. But when it comes time to be in the ring, I will dismantle somebody's body parts animalistically, because winning and losing, it's on a precipice. Um, Call that desperation, if you will. I'm desperate for wins. I'm desperate for wins. Um, I don't think that Erica Lee, as she is desperate enough for wins, especially when it comes to the fact that this area is struggling. Like Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, like the lower part of Pennsylvania, closer to us, Delaware, we're struggling. We have commissions, athletic commissions, and they don't want us to wrestle because they want us to be safe, which means the only way that we succeed as DMV wrestlers right now is going out and making names for ourselves. We've all had to go on excursion from our home because we can't wrestle here until this is all done. I would love to just wake up in the morning, go to go to DC Brow Brewery and wrestle a couple of matches in there, get done, come back home, lay down, sleep with my cat. I would love it. I can't. I have to travel 4, 5, 10, 16 hours out of my way, which means that while I am driving those rides, I have to think about winning every single second, not about the audience thinking that I'm great. Because if I win, they have to bring me back. They have to bring me back.
And it sounds like you talk about, when you have to go out, but you carry the banner of the DMV with you, and it's kind of like that in New England, where some places can do shows, some can't. With in Erica's case, it is, you have the ability, you have the ruthlessness, but you want people to like you.
And she won't use it. She won't use it. And that's my problem with her. She's an animal. She's an animal, and she should just be an animal and let people know that this is a dangerous place to be. The DMV is for killers, right?
Yeah.
That's what me and Jordan go out and what we want to represent. We want to represent that the DMV is for killers. We want to show people we're dangerous. And I get the sugary sweet gimmick and the Erica Lee, it's me, and the candy reviews and the big friends,
Yeah.
and the silly fun, and this is the wrong moment for it.
Gotcha.
That's my problem with Erica Lee. I'm sorry if I expanded a little bit too much. That's
No, no, it's people are interested in this. Oh wait, no, say it again. I caught the.
I'm sorry. I said I get a little bit hot when I talk about it. I get a little bit angry because we're all fighting really hard and we're all fighting the same fight. And that's not to say that Erica Lee isn't going through the exact same thing. It's just to say that, you know, I would love to be a standard bearer for this area. And I would love to wrestle Erica and show them exactly what we can do. But if Erica isn't going to take it seriously, if she's not going to be serious, then what's the point? Everybody's saying that I'm ducking Erica, that I'm afraid of her. That's not what it is. It's that if I go into the ring and I tie Erica up into knots and I grind her down, and then finally in the last 5 minutes of the match, she finally gets aggressive with me. I've beaten her up this entire time. I hit one move and boom, look at that. Her clock's clean. 1, 2, 3. That's the pin. Well, guess what that says about us? It doesn't say that much. Doesn't it says that I squashed someone who was using half of what they can do. I don't want half of what Erica can do. I want all of it. I want her to try to demolish me, and in turn, I will demolish her out of respect. She doesn't respect me enough to hurt me.
Okay. So at Christmas Trios, you two, again, this was a trios tournament, but you
Yes.
two ended up in the ring together.
Yes.
So in that instance, you still was like, she's holding back, and that holding back is, I don't want to say it's insulting, but it's not doing her any favors.
Killian laid her out with a boy. 1, 2, 3. She was given a hand that was maybe a little bit weighed on towards us, and I'll say that, right? Kaya McKenna is a wonderful professional wrestler. She is new on her journey. She's a great technical wrestler. She's a powerhouse who hasn't learned to use all of that mystical power and might that's behind all those muscles that she has. And then Crusher, who is a great professional wrestler. But Crusher has a simplistic offense, right? Miles is a high flyer and a technical wrestler. Killian is a powerhouse and a technical wrestler. Me, I am an all-around technical madman. So as soon as we knew that that was the matchup, we knew we would win. And it wasn't because we were better. I mean, I tend to think that we were, but it's because they're not willing to do the things that they needed to do. We clean sweeped all 3 of them. We became distractions for them. 2 out of the ring. Killian hits the boy, hits the big lariat, and then boom, look at that. 1, 2, 3, knocks Erica down. Whereas if she was really real about this, if she was going to let it be what it is, there are opportunities that she has to represent that she doesn't use in the way that I wish that she would. That's all.
Okay.
When she decides to be serious, then she can come calling and we can duke it out. But until she decides that she just wants to have fun, as long as she wants to have fun, then we can lock up and we can roll around for a little bit, and that's it.
It's just it's so interesting as someone who like loves a good story. It's but she seems like fixated on just kind of antagonizing you. That she wants you in the ring. You maybe want to give her the opportunity in the ring, but you don't want candy reviews, neon. You want come out, stomp out to this ring like the feral animal that you are.
Yeah.
And let's have it out.
Be witty. I understand she's witty. I understand she's clever. I understand she's funny. That's not how I want to wrestle her. That's not who I want to wrestle. I don't want to wrestle somebody who's funny or somebody who's having a good time. I know Erica Lee can hurt people, and I want her to try to hurt me. I don't want her to try to make me lose my temper so that I lose my mind. I want her to wrestle me with aggression because she has it.
It's there. Got to just let it out. Erica, you're a great personality. I love talking to you. Candy stuff's great, but you gotta, if you want to get in the ring with this man, you gotta
There are plenty of people that she can. She'll get an opportunity to wrestle Killian McMurphy, and if she shows up and she has fun and she plays around and she jokes around, she'll have a bad time.
Yeah. Killian doesn't play. I've seen it.
He doesn't have fun. Well, no. So what happens is Killian gets cocky, and that's maybe one of the ways to beat him. But if you don't start with aggression against Killian, if you don't hit him hard at the top of the match, he's going to make up ground with his sheer size, strength, and knowledge of his move set. He knows exactly what he's going in there. He's like Shaq, right? So Shaquille O'Neal when he was playing for the Lakers, actually his entire career, was one of the biggest men in the key, but also he was one of the strongest. So it didn't really matter what you wanted to do to Shaq, because if he was going to drive through the key and dunk on you, guess what?
That's what happens.
That's what's going to happen. Sure, he can't shoot 3 free throws. I don't expect Killian McMurphy to have a 5-star lucha match. But guess what? I do expect him to do. Come away with the win and have a match where he demonstrates exactly what he planned to do to you.
Oh, I love it. Just and just what's it like? And just to kind of quickly change subject here, in the times of COVID, like how do you stay in a good place mentally and physically, as we move through this ri- ridiculous, unprecedented time?
I have access to a ring, and I have access to lots of workout equipment. So I'd say I probably do extensive weightlifting, cardio, and yoga. One of those two things, one of those three things, or a combination of two of those three things, um, every single day, as well as getting the opportunity to access a wrestling ring and work on my skills. Um, there are plenty of people who I've heard say, I haven't wrestled in 3 months, 5 months, 8 months. Um, for me, Sunday, Saturday, what's today? Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. I haven't wrestled in 3 days. That's the difference. That's the difference with the level of seriousness that I take being able to perform at a high level for not just crowds, but for the internet, for people. I'm always working on promos. I'm always working on my mental health. I'm always trying to stay fit. Um, some things in my personal life may fall through the cracks, but right now the thing that I'm most focused on is professional wrestling, is the sport, and I want to be successful here, which means that I have to take it seriously. And I get joking, like I said, I get joking and I get having fun. If you follow me on Twitter at AFAM Horror Story, I am very funny from time to time. I try to be, at least. You'd have to ask the other folks. But when it comes to professional wrestling, uh, I I want to win. This person, Eel O'Neal, wants to win. He doesn't want to go out and have a good time. He doesn't want to have fun. He doesn't want to make a good showing. When I show up in the ring and I have my gear on, I want to win. And I'm desperate for it. Like I said, I am desperate for wins, because I represent not just myself, I represent my loved ones, I represent the district that's struggling, that doesn't have any professional wrestling that we can frequently go to, and hadn't for 10 years until prime time showed up.
So aside from say like Lee Moriarty and Trisha Dora, who are some other opponents when we get to the other side of this mess?
Yeah.
Who are some other folks that you want to get in the ring with, or maybe have been in the ring with already and want to get another crack at?
Trish, Lee, we want the burden to be again, just a solo this time. Um, Main Street, obviously. It would have been really, really great to get Airwolf and Lucha Angel, but I mean, they're gone. Top Flight's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, but 40 Acres and a Mule would be hot. The Rep would be hot. Main Event would be hot. Um, I personally want to wrestle every grappler that I can find. So I want to wrestle Josh Wavra. I want to wrestle I want to wrestle Pancakes. I want to wrestle Zoagwo Bones. There are so many wrestlers who I want, and my big wish list match for this year is John. I want to wrestle John. Um, do I think that I'll beat him? That has yet to be seen. But I do want to test myself against the best grapplers in this country, in this nation. I understand people who want to wrestle high flyers. I understand people who want to have really cool looking matches with great gifts. I'm going to win a wrestling match. So I have a bit of a hard time with strikers. Me and Jordan are working on that. We're working on finding a way to unlock my style against folks who strike. Oh, and another person who I've already had a match with, who you can see on Action Wrestling. If you go back, the hair versus hair event, yeah, the $2,500 hair versus hair event, Matt Sells and Eric Royal,
Yeah.
there's a little gem in there where I wrestled Nolan Edwards before Nolan Edward was No Flinch Nolan Edward, where he was just the gypsy son. And in that match, I was the one who got him the nickname No Flinch. That is the first usage of that nickname. He beat me with an O'Connor roll-up. I want to match back. I've been in Atlanta. I was just on AWE, their new Loud programming. You'll see me show up soon in a match against Trevor Aon and Talon Oryx. I want, and I know Matt the Mouth is watching, or at least he'll see this. I want Nolan Edward. I think that I have waited long enough. I asked, he said, I don't have any space for you. I'm sorry. And that's okay. I understand it's time, but they're pumping out action events like this.
Weekly.
I'll wrestle for free if I get Nolan Edward in the ring.
Yeah. I mean, over the past 2-3 months with Action hitting the ground, the name of Nolan Edwards has gotten out there. His match with Effie, blew up. So,
you know who hasn't gotten the opportunity to really stretch his wings and fly, even though he's been all over the place? Eel O'Neal. And he really, 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 really wants it, really badly. But Nolan and I have been having this back and forth for a long time. He's ready. I'm ready. It's a tailor-made match. Grappler versus striker. We'll see who gives. If I get that match.
The two I'd like to see, and I don't know what are the chances of them happening, are you and Jordan the Kings versus a Culture Season, killing Christian Casanova and Tasha Steeles, provided she can still wrestle other events because she's a tag team champion now. And maybe Kings of the District versus Injustice.
Myron or Jordan? It's Myron, Jordan, and someone else, right?
Well, Myron Jordan, and for a while I think Kato Brazil was with them, but I believe he got injured. So right now it's just Myron and Jordan. That would be interesting. Eel, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Can I plug real quick?
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to get into. I was like, anything you want to promote, socials, upcoming shows, if you got a t-shirt you want to show off.
Yes, if you go to What a Maneuver, I got the tank top, but these Eel O'Neal t-shirts, these African American Horror Story t-shirts. And if you're too scared to wear something that says African American Horror Story on it, there's also something that just says Eel O'Neal AAHS, and no one will ask you what the acronym means. They'll probably ask you if it's your high school. The What a Maneuver store, my Twitter, AFAM Horror Story, my Instagram, AFAM Horror Story. If you have an opportunity, donate to your local sex worker, or donate to your local charity. Just find a good cause and follow it, as well as just try to treat people well.
Yeah, folks, drink water, wear your mask. Black Lives Matter, Sex Workers Outreach Project. I try and donate where I can.
Swap is fantastic. Baltimore Swap, if you're trying to donate specifically for Eel, just put my name on there.
Donate your name again, Eel. Thanks so much. You said Cassandra Cup has been filmed. Some
Yes.
other things are.
Filmed um, the latest the Valentine's Day episode of Camp Leapfrog has been filmed. You will more than likely see me, COVID willing. You will more than likely see me on the GCW 24-hour show, probably in a couple of spots. We'll see. And you may even see the Kings of the District there too. So just look out for us. If you have any critiques, I don't know. Don't DM them to me. Put them on a public forum so we can discuss it openly. Don't be too critical. Don't be too mean.
Okay. I actually was going to ask about the GCW. I'm probably going to be sponsoring an hour or two on there. I've reached out. I'm just waiting to hear back.
No, absolutely awesome. That's awesome.
And it's going to, folks, it's going to be a big benefit. It's 24 hours. All the money is going to the wrestlers involved in this because none of them have really had a chance to work, because of COVID. You can donate travel sponsorships, sponsorship hours. Everything's negotiable. Just reach out and they'll help you. Again, Eel, thanks so much and appreciate your time.
Thank you.